Good evening. So soon after the very first video, I am getting bombarded with lot of questions, and it's not a separate case. Every free thinker is going to this sort of situations. I know, but what I think is when somebody asks a question to me, I am morally responsible to answer to that. So in this episode, I am trying to answer to a few questions which are asked to me by mainly free thinkers only. Okay, that's very important because they are not religious people. They do not claim, they do not call themselves as religious people, but I call them as fake secularists or pseudo secularists because what they do is they are actually preserving religions, and their intention is very simple. In a religious society, the very easy way to get clap is nothing but to speak for the religion. So if you are speaking for a particular religion or for all religions, you will get lot of clap. There will be lot of people to support you, and financial benefits will be there. Your job will be secured, and the possibilities are always growing before you. But in case of atheists or free thinkers or those who speak against religion, that is different. You may have to lose lot of things. Okay, so I am speaking about the context why I am making this video, this episode. Now these people, their argument goes like this: if you speak against a religion or against all religions, obviously it will affect on the religious harmony, religious brotherhood which is existing in the society. But what I think is, I am actually doubtful regarding religious tolerance, religious brotherhood, I should say, because I don't find out something as religious brotherhood or religious tolerance. What I see in society is brotherhood between human beings, not between religions. Friendship between religion or religions is not possible because every religion is actually they believe themselves as the ultimate truth, so they do not admit any other religions. They are actually questioning the existence of other religions. Okay, and religious texts, if you go if you read it properly, you will understand it is fully equipped with hatred towards other religions. That is what the real condition is. So what I believe is brotherhood or tolerance between religions is not possible. Only the thing is we can avoid religions and we can be in harmony with other human beings. That is harmony between human beings, not between religions. That is what we need, and that is the only one thing which we can do is. That is what my personal experience is. Okay. Now, whenever somebody speak about religions, these people are getting angry and they want to question it because what they believe is. They believe that every religion is given certain permissions by Indian Constitution, which we call as secular. Okay, Indian Constitution is a secular constitution. It is very clearly told the secularist concept in Indian Constitution. That I agree, but here the problem is these people do not understand properly the meaning of Indian secularism. Indian secularism or the secularism which is put forward by Indian Constitution is something different. Indian Constitution is not telling you to pamper all religions or to clap for all religious stupidities. Actually, our Constitution tells us to stand away from religions. We should take equal stand away from all religions. That is what Indian Constitution tells us. But these people understand it in very crooked way. They think that Indian Constitution tells to you to pamper all the religious beliefs and to appease all the religious people, which is very wrong actually. Okay, that is the real reason for this phenomena, I should say. Now you see the condition of this girl. Her name is Nimisha. Okay, she was married to a Muslim guy. Later she accepted Islam, and in 2015 she took membership in the very infamous ISIS, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. She went to Syria, killed a lot of people. Okay, now she is in prison somewhere in Syria. Who is responsible for this? Is it free thinkers or religious people? See, in India you can see thousands of religious preachers, thousands of priests, thousands of Pentecostal preachers, thousands of full-time dawa workers of Muslims. They are paid by religious organizations, they are trying to convert the people by any means, through love affairs, by financially helping, by intimidation. Lot of different ways they adopt, and they are sometimes very successful also. I know thousands of people who got converted to Islam in the state of Kerala by this kind of people, and they are funded by Saudi Arabian religious organization. That is also true. Okay, now see this boy. I know him. He is actually from my own district in Kasaragod in Kerala. Okay, now where is he? He went to Afghanistan. He blew himself in a Sikh Gurudwara in 2020 and killed so many people, so many innocent people. Who is responsible for this? Free thinkers or religious people? So what my stand is, we should not appease religions. We should stand against them. We should speak against them. Very importantly, we should try to reveal the truth regarding their holy text, because they always say their texts are filled with truth and virtues, but it is wrong actually. There are lot of things in their holy texts which the common society can't tolerate at all. That is what my stand is. That's what I am trying for. Okay, now as I said to you earlier, I got lot of questions from my friends who are free thinkers too. Okay, the very first question is this question is a very typical question. This question is answered by free thinkers from Robert Ingersoll to Richard Dawkins. They have already done it, but still I am trying to give answers to them. Okay, now the question is nothing but, can you prove that there is no God? Okay, the question is very clear. Can you prove that there is no God? This is the question. My answer is no, I can't prove that there is no God. I can't prove it. In fact, I can't prove the non-existence of anything, not only God, anything, because science doesn't provide any methodology to prove the non-existence of anything. Okay, the methodology is only to prove the existence of something, not non-existence. Suppose you imagine like this. I do not know whether you are sitting or standing or laying down while you are listening to me, but you imagine you are asking me the same question. You asked to me the same question. Can you prove that there is no God? Fine, I accept that question. But I say to you, there is a barking dog in your room. Okay, so before you ask this question, just put that dog outside the room. Then you speak to me. Okay, you are very sure that there is no dog in your room. This argument goes on like this. Finally, what will you say? You will say, can you prove that there is a dog in my room? That is the ultimate outcome, isn't it? Why? Because see, the question who is asking, see, the person who is asking this kind of questions is slipping from his responsibility. When you say something is there, it is your responsibility to come with evidences. It is not the responsibility of the person who denies it, because there is no methodology to prove something is not existing. We can only prove something is existing. So the person who asked this question is slipping away from his responsibility to prove the existence of God. That's why he is asking to me that how can you prove that there is no God existing? I think you understand what I say. And there are a lot of misconceptions regarding the view of atheists or free thinkers regarding God. As an atheist, as a free thinker, I do not claim that there is no God. My claim is something else. What I am trying to say is, I do not get any proof, any evidence for the existence of God. So if I get evidences for the existence of God, then I'm ready to accept it. I am not stubborn like religious people. That's what my stand is. But in past, I didn't get it. In present, I am not getting it. And future, the possibility for getting it is very less. That's what my argument is. So the answer for the very first question, can you prove that there is no God, is very clear. I can't prove the non-existence of God. I can't prove the non-existence of anything. Not only me, nobody in the entire universe can prove the non-existence of something. But anybody in the entire universe can prove the existence of something. So when you ask to me, can you prove that there is no God? It is your responsibility to come with the evidences for God. So you do it first, later we can think about my stand. That is what. Okay, so I'm jumping into the next question. Okay, so the next question is how can we replace religions? So religion is something very important. How can we replace it? So atheists and free thinkers are trying to, abolish religions. So when they abolish their religions, when they are successful in their mission, how can you replace it? That is what the question is. Here my answer is very simple. No need to replace religions. Why should we replace all the things? I do not understand this logic. Suppose you are smoking. Smoking is a bad habit. So when you abolish smoking, when you stop smoking, is it really needed to replace it with something else like drinking or watching porn videos or something? I do not understand this logic. And one more thing is, till the mid of 20th century, slavery was there. Slavery was a truth in the society. We know about that. We have evidences about that. Now it is not there. It is fully abolished. So what if you ask to me, how can we replace slavery? There is no need to replace slavery, because slavery is something which we do not want. That is same in the case of religions also. Religions are actually mental slavery. Religions are actually mental slavery. For example, in Islam it is told that the person is called Abdullah. Abdullah means nothing but the slave of the God. Religions are mental slavery. We do not want it. So there is no question of replacing it. That is what my answer is. So no need to think about replacing, religions. And one more thing, these people, those who are asking this kind of questions, have a misconception that religions were always existing in the same manner. That is wrong actually, because all the gods which are known to you now, for example Jesus Christ or Allah or Rama or Krishna, whoever it is, actually they are arising from the graveyard of other gods. If you read Bible, or if you read Islamic history or Torah of Jewish people, you can understand one thing. There were very powerful gods such as Baal, Lata, Ussa, Manata, which are told in the Old Testament of Bible. Where are they now? They are not there. They are not there. They are abolished. Okay. So these new people came instead of them. That is what. So religions were not existing in the same manner always. Okay. So my answer is, when religion is abolished, there is no need to replace it. That is it. I think you can understand me. Okay. Now the third question is, this question is actually obnoxious, I should say. Okay, I'll read it. The question is, are you sure about your father? Are you believing in your father since it is scientifically proven? That is what the question is. That's why I called it as obnoxious. So the question is simple. I have father, okay, so why am believing in him? It is not scientifically proven. So if I'm very stubborn that I'll agree with the things which are proven or things which are having evidences, how can I believe in my father? Okay. Even though it is obnoxious, this question is very important. It's very significant. It has a logic. I agree with that. And I think this question should be perfectly answered. Okay, so I'll do one thing. I'm just comparing, I'm taking two, figures. One is my father and one is the God which is put forward by my religion. Okay, I'm just trying to compare them. Okay, firstly I want to make sure whether a comparison is possible or not. Then only the possibility of comparison comes. Okay, now my father, first criterion is number. How many fathers are there? There is only one father for me. There is only one person whom I call as father, isn't it? Yes. Now what is the proof for him? He is there from the very beginning. He is there from the very beginning. Now he is sitting in the next room. he is, he is there. I can go, I can see him, I can touch him, I can play with him, I can kiss him, I can hug him. He usually brings food for me, he usually advises me. Sometimes he he used to hit me when I was a child. Okay, lot of evidences are there. Only one father is there, only one fellow is there, lot of evidences are there. Okay, and the last possibility is, if at all I want to prove it scientifically, I can prove it. I can take a DNA test, I can prove it. My father is, the consanguinity between me and my father, consanguinous between me and my father. It is possible. But in case of religion, the God which is put forward by religion, you see what is the condition? First of all, evidences. There is no evidences. I never got any evidences for a God which is put forward by my religion. Okay, I never saw him. I never listened to him. When I was in trouble, he didn't help me. When I barely needed him, he was not there. Now see, everywhere corona is spreading like wildfire. He is concealed somewhere. He is concealing himself somewhere. He is hiding somewhere. He is not there at all. So there is no proofs. There are no evidences. Second one is number. When you think about religions, how many are there? It is not only one. Like in the case of my father, there are too many. At least there are 3. Whenever I open my window, lot of people are coming and telling to me that you come to this religion, you go to that religion, this religion is more truthful, this religion is more genuine, you come here, you join with us, you have this much of benefits, we are trying to, we are able to support you well. It is not only one, like in case of my father. And very importantly, proving the genuinity of this God or these gods is not possible at all. So what I am trying to say is, there is no comparison between father of a person and God of a person. It's not possible at all. A comparison is not possible. There is no logic behind that, because father is a single person. He is there, evidences are there. Okay, here so many are there religions, so many gods are there. Okay, and all of them are clashing between. So this condition is entirely different. So there is no comparison between father and God. And if at all I want, I can prove the the consanguineness of my father, between my father. But here it is not possible at all. This is the answer for this question. Even though it is obnoxious, I am very interested to answer to this question. This is very important, very relevant question. I think I answered to it. Thank you. And one more thing. What is actually the stand of religious, free thinkers or atheists regarding religious conversion? That's a very important fact. I'll tell you, as a free thinker, I do not have any objection regarding religious conversion. Because what I feel is, believing in a religion is just like, you are reading a comic book. Suppose today you are reading about Batman. Okay? When you get fed up of Batman, you can go to Superman, no problem. And when you get fed up with Superman too, you can go to other person, other character, no problem at all. Okay, so when you reject Superman, Superman will not do anything. When you reject Allah, Allah will not do anything. When you reject Batman, Bat will not do anything. Okay, if you do not believe in Jesus Christ, if you neglect him and you go to Islam, nothing will happen. So what I want to say is, believing in a religion is just like reading a comic book. So when you get fed up with one book, you can go to another. Okay, if you are getting fed up with that too, better options are available in the market. You can go and find out, no issues. So I do not have any objection regarding religious conversion. I am just taking it as a comedy actually, nothing more than that. So I do not have any objection regarding religious conversion. But what I want to say is, the matter which I said earlier. People are getting converted to religion through ways which should not be allowed in a society, in a secular society, by giving money through intimidation. They are going and almost 15 people from the state of Kerala have joined ISIS in the previous years. Intelligence Bureau has given the evidences for that. Who is responsible for all these things? Atheists? No, it is religious people only. So they should, they can't simply wash their hand and run away. It's not possible. That's what my stand is, and my stand is very clear. And one more thing, there are two realities. See, I have this book, Sapiens, written by Yuval Noah Harari, the famous book. There are two kinds of realities. One is fictional reality. Fictional reality means it is fictional. It is not really, existing. But we believe in that. For example, India is a fictional reality. We can't touch something, or we can't, listen to something named India. India is existing in our mind. We believe that we are Indians. It's a fictional reality. Money is a fictional reality. Because money is valuable only when everybody agree with that. Isn't it? So fictional realities are like this. God is a fictional reality. God is fictional reality. It gets value only when everybody agrees with that. Okay? And the things which are found out by science, they are not fictional realities. They are not fictional realities. They are objective realities. Objective reality means what? See, for example, there is a book here. I can touch it. Okay? I can take it. It's an objective reality. It's an objective reality. So what I want to say is, when you believe in something, it means whatever it is, it's a fictional reality. Why you are believing in something? You are believing in something because you do not get any evidences for that. Do you agree with me? For example, I do not say there is a mobile phone in my pocket. I will not say like that. Why is that? No need to believe. I will not say I believe that there is a mobile phone in my pocket. No need to believe. I can take it. I can play with it. I can listen songs. I can make a call to somebody else. Possible. Or I will not say there is a camera before me. I believe that there is a camera in front of me. No need to believe. A camera is there. That's why I am speaking to you. You are seeing me now. You are listening to me. It is because of the camera. I can touch it. I can make a pose. It's an objective reality. But in case of God, it is not like that. It's a fictional reality actually. So can we accept fictional realities? That is the question. We can accept, but as fictional realities only. Religions are stories. If you ask me a question, can we accept religions? Can we accept stories? You can accept, of course, but only as stories. When you believe that religion is something rather than a story, you are in trouble. Do you agree with me?